There's no way out, you know. I can't get out of the city. Believe me, I've tried. You're Murdoch, aren't you? The one they've been looking for.
You're not a killer.
They set you up with a fake identity, like everyone else in this place.
Who are you?
Used to be a cop. At least, in this life I was. They steal people's memories, you know. Then they swap them around between us. I've seen them do it back and forth, till no one knows who they are anymore.
How do you know all this?
Once in a while, one of us wakes up while they're changing things. It's not supposed to happen, but it does. It happened to me. They'll come looking for you, Murdoch. Just like they'll come looking for me. But that's okay. I figured a way out.
Welcome back to our humble San Diego podcast. We are your hosts, Chris Pawlak and Wesley Swanson.
Well, you should be first. This is your show.
It's your takeover, man.
You allow me to be on, but this is your show.
All right, I appreciate that. So this is Drop the Mic, episode 284, While the City Sleeps, which will focus on the 1998 cult classic Dark City. But before we peel back some of the layers of this hidden gem, let's get warmed up, shall we?
Absolutely.
And now for a special news report. Brought to you by Drop the Mic.
I do want to give a shout out and say R.I.P. Wolfgang Peterson, who died, I think, a couple weeks back.
He passed away?
He passed away, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know from what?
I don't remember.
Okay.
But I believe he was in his 80s, early 80s. Pretty good director. I wouldn't say a fantastic, great director, because he's got some kind of Hollywood movies, but a lot of really good flicks that he was director of. Like, check out Das Boot if you've never seen Das Boot. It's awesome. That, I believe, was his first theatrical film.
I had that double video.
Double VHS?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a 3.5 hour flick. Super good movie. Kids of the 80s will know The Never-Ending Story. Enemy Mine. Have you ever seen Enemy Mine?
Is that the one Dennis Quaid?
Yeah, with Dennis Quaid, where he's like stranded on the
alien?
planet with the alien.
Yeah, I had that one too.
Pretty fucking solid movie. What I think is his best movie is In the Line of Fire. With Clint Eastwood. I think it's awesome. And John Malkovich is super good in that. And Outbreak, which we talked about before, and it's come up and is timely.
I might be getting him mixed up, but did he do A Perfect Storm?
He did do A Perfect Storm.
Okay.
Yeah. Air Force One. Pretty solid movies.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, he ended his career with a remake of the Poseidon Adventure, which wasn't all that good. He's got some really solid movies in there.
Yeah.
So I want to shout him out. And definitely check out Enemy Mine if you've never seen that. Check out Das Boot. Highly recommend In the Line of Fire. And Air Force One is pretty fucking fun. That's a good popcorn movie.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
I have two quick pieces of news for you. The first is A24 stuff. So I guess they're back at it again with a new horror film entitled The Front Room, which is supposedly directed by the Eggers brothers, Max and Sam Eggers.
Okay, I was going to say it's not like Robert Eggers, right?
No, but they are his brothers.
Okay, so they are related to him.
Which is wild. I guess they've done behind-the-scenes stuff for his other films. And now they're doing one of their own. And that's not even the big news. The craziest news, you might have read this already, because I feel like it's all over the internet. But the cast is being led by Brandy Norwood.
Really?
Yeah. She's back.
What other movies has she done besides the sequel that I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is a bad movie? And I remember like the Cinderella like TV movie with like her and Whitney Houston. It was Whitney Houston, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Where she's like the fairy or something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
I remember
But
that.
I mean, that was 25 years ago, maybe?
Yeah. 2002.
And I know, obviously, she had, you know, the show.
Moesha.
Yeah. But, like, what... Has she
Anything
been in
else?
a lot of other movies?
I want to say no.
Okay. I think it's interesting when someone who hasn't acted in a long time, who was never, like, fully an actor, you know, always had this second career, which is probably the more popular of the two careers.
I did look up the synopsis for the film, and it's about like a couple a pregnant couple, I guess, are forced to take like one of their stepmothers in and help them out, and then something happens. So it kind of seems like maybe it could go into the direction of what's that film called? The Hand That
Rocks the Cradle.
Yeah, maybe.
Curtis Hanson, good movie.
It is. Very underrated movie. What else? Moving on. The newest film in the Evil Dead franchise is officially coming to theaters instead of its original planned digital release.
Thank you.
Through HBO Max. So look for Evil Dead Rise in theaters early next year.
I don't know if I want to step into that whole HBO Max Discovery mess.
We talked about it a few times since all that, so
yeah,
it's just kind of weird. They just launched Max. I love it, and now they're trying to...
It seems like the new guy's trying to deliberately tank it or make every bad decision he can. So I'm excited that's going to get a theatrical version.
Yes.
And I know you guys have talked about it, but I don't really give a shit so much about the movie, but the fact that they really fucked over the Batgirl film is really unacceptable. I feel really bad for the directors and the cast and everyone involved there. That seems like a really shitty move.
I agree. And that's all I have for news. Short and sweet this week.
Okay.
And now it's time for the weekly recommendations.
My first recommendation is we're talking about a movie with the late William Hurt in it. I want to shout out a really underrated, like small independent movie that he made in the mid-90s called Smoke.
Okay.
With him and Harvey Keitel, and Harvey Keitel owns like a smoke shop, cigar shop.
Mm-hmm.
And William Hurt is based on the writer Paul Auster.
Okay.
Is his friend, a writer friend of Harvey Keitel's. And it's a really good drama. Forrest Whitaker's in it too. Small movie, but it's so fucking good. And I don't want to spoil it except to say watch it, because both Keitel and William Hurt and Forrest Whitaker and Harold Perrineau really good in the film. I highly recommend it. It's been one I've always tried to tell people to check out. The same director with Harvey Keitel made kind of a follow-up movie, because from what I understand, they had extra money at the end of the shoot, so they just kind of made like a quickie vignette film, kind of revolving around the same smoke shop. Skip that one. It's called Blue in the Face. You can skip it.
Not worth it?
It's got some decent bits in it, but I don't like it nearly as much. Smoke is the one to watch.
All right.
So check that out. I've been wanting to recommend that for a while, actually, because I just rewatched it in the spring, a few months back. And my second one is Jaws is going to get a special release in IMAX come Labor Day weekend, which should be from the time that we're recording this next weekend. Check that out. It's going to be fucking awesome in IMAX. I don't think there's much out right now, so it shouldn't get bumped, or there should be no real excuse as to why the bigger screen theaters in town or the IMAX screens in town aren't playing it.
Okay.
But I'm really excited for it. That's one of my favorite films. I think it's going to look great in IMAX. So check it out.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm definitely going to go see it. It'll be my first time on the big screen. So
it's awesome. I remember Joelle and I watched it at the Ken. I'm sure I mentioned it before. At the Ken, like on the 4th of July, they had like a special screening of it because, that's a 4th of July movie.
Yeah.
And we went to go watch it. It was fucking great watching it. That was probably the second or third time I was lucky enough to see it on the theater, on the big screen in the theater. And the 4th of July screening was really fun.
All right. So this week, actually yesterday, I checked out the first 2 episodes of the new Mike miniseries on Hulu.
Oh, the Tyson miniseries.
Yes.
Trevante Rhodes, man, that guy's a good actor.
I love him. I don't know what the how, like, critically how this is, if people are embracing it, but it's very much in the vein of I, Tonya and Pam and Tommy.
Is it done by the same?
I want to say it is the same
guy,
team.
or does we see, their involvement?
I think they are.
Because I know that Craig Gillespie, who did I, Tonya, was really involved in doing Pam and Tommy, and it had a lot of that same vibe to it.
When you watch Mike, you feel it's like the same.
Okay.
But it works, and I feel like they really captured him, and fucking Harvey Keitel is in it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great to see him back. Watch it if you guys haven't. There's only 2 episodes out, so they're like 35, 40 minutes.
Okay.
Real smooth. Incredible stuff. Especially if you're a Tyson fan, boxing fan. It's just unreal what they're doing with this.
How are the fights?
Great.
How are they're shot well?
They remind me of like the style, like Creed.
Okay. Yeah, the fights in Creed, the first one especially, are really well shot.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And now for the movie focus of the week.
Our main focus, it's Summer of Sci-Fi.
Summer of Sci-Fi.
We haven't dropped that yet. The technically last Summer of Sci-Fi episode for 2022.
To the end, yeah.
Fitting movie, I would like to think.
I think it's a really good bookend to what we started the Summer of Sci-Fi with, because it shares a lot of similar themes.
Yes.
And it's also another sci-fi noir. This one looks more like an old film noir because of the look and the period. Mm-hmm. But obviously, Blade Runner was a sci-fi noir, just a futuristic noir. But, we'll get into a lot of the similar themes in a little bit here. But I was like, yeah, this is a good bookend because it shares a lot of the same stuff that we talked about with Blade Runner. And also, not just these 2 movies, but Aliens as well, has a pretty, famous director's cut.
Yes. Absolutely.
So all 3 films that we covered for the Summer of Sci-Fi have director's cuts.
Pretty substantial stuff.
Right? Both this and Blade Runner, I think the director's cuts are superior.
I was just thinking about that the other day, this guy really mapped this stuff out.
Although, given the last episode, my thoughts on the Aliens director's cut. Which it's good, but I'm not nearly as much of a fan as the theatrical, as I am of the theatrical cut of that film.
As I said at the top of the show, we're talking about Dark City. It's rated R. It's from 1998. It's a sci-fi noir. Runs at 1 hour and 51 minutes, and it's got a 75 on Rotten, which is a little low in my opinion.
Yeah, it should be higher, for sure.
It was written by Lem Dobbs, David S. Goyer, and, of course, Alex Proyas. Directed by Alex Proyas. The film spins the story of John Murdoch, a man who awakes in a hotel room without having any real memory of his past or who he is, eventually realizing he's likely being framed for murder. He sets out to find who or what is responsible, but what he finds is beyond all comprehension. Director Alex Proyas first started developing the concept of Dark City in the early 90s, coming off of his 94 project The Crow. Proyas shopped his script around for a bit before landing a deal with New Line Cinema in collaboration with Proyas' own production company, Mystery Clock Cinema. Proyas ultimately decided to team up with Lem Dobbs and David S. Goyer to help flesh out his characters and concept. With mixed early test screenings, New Line asked Proyas to add a narration bit to the opening of the film, which completely unraveled the mystery and left the filmmaker dissatisfied with the original theatrical cut. However, in 2008, a Blu-ray release saw the unearthing of Proyas' famous director's cut,